And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. With me, I have Jamie with me, I have Tyrone with me, and I also have the Western Wonder himself with me. We're going to be talking a little bit of movie news, some movie news. So go ahead, relax, sit back, and relax, and let's do this. And hey, guys, welcome to the show.
Hey.
Hey. Hi. It's great to have everyone here to talk about the strikes. We actually have that going on. We have Dark Tower adaptation gets Stephen King's approval. We also have James Gunn confusing everybody with the DCU universe as always. Then we also have some other stuff going on with Halloween, and then we're going to be diving into Martin Scorsese being cranky because he still doesn't like comic book movies. And I don't even know why, because comic book movies are now downfalling, so therefore he should be winning because his films will now be successful. So, anyways, one day said, you know what, I just want to piss people off this morning. So, anyways, so my question for you guys is this. What news stands out to you right now that you guys want to open up and talk about?
I mean, the writer's strike is huge, right? That now Jamie Lee can actually, interview all these folks.
No, not yet. This is the writer's strike that came to the deal. The actors haven't got there yet. So the SAG actors, that's not on board yet. But
right. You don't care about the writers enough to interview.
No,
right. That's what it is. All right.
She just wants the actors.
She fell right into my trap. My trap.
Did I say I wanted to be on this podcast? Dang it. But no, I'm very happy to be able to get writers on board. I haven't actually interviewed a writer at all yet. So that would be very interesting. Yeah. But I can't wait for the actors union as well to jump on board and hopefully come to a good negotiation as well. That would be good.
Yeah,
most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to. I think in the order of operations, it makes sense that the writers would get back first before the actors because like we have all these incredible shows we're all waiting on. Maybe we could all mention a show we're waiting on. Get those scripts tight, and then that's when we start casting, right? So it makes sense to get the writers first, and hopefully the actors get themselves a great deal too.
Most definitely, because here's the thing. Stranger Things just now is resuming. We're going to be talking about that in a few minutes, but that's one of the key shows that I'm excited for. Mm-hmm. And I had to laugh at one of your posts, though, Tyrone. It's like, yay, the WGA is actually over with. What are they coming back with? A reboot of The Office.
right.
I laughed my ass off on that one.
And it's funny because like The Office is a reboot of another show, technically, right? Because it was a UK, but it does its own thing. I mean, where do you all sort of land on the reboot stuff? Do you like it? Do you not like it?
It depends on where they want to go with it and where they want to take it. But it has to be enough growth there to say, hey, look, or enough time has passed saying, you know what, we want to try a different spin. Maybe we want to go in and change the sex of the person instead of it being falling around a male. We can do a female instead. Mm-hmm. Things like that. And over a period of time, I think you do need to reboot some things. But in other times, I'm like, The Office is still one of those TV shows that people still watch and love. And yes, so you're going to make a reboot of a reboot and everything, which doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I heard that they were, Jamie Lee, I'm not sure if you heard about this. So The Office, I heard that they were rebooting it and doing like an Australian version. Have you heard anything about that?
No, but you tagged me in it all, and I was like, dude, I never watched The Office. Like, this is not for me, so I had no clue.
But maybe it will be though, because if they have an Australian humor, right? I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. We'll see.
But what about for you?
Oh, sorry.
No. Go on ahead.
No. Weston, you go first, my dude.
Well, we're talking about reboots. I think it's hit or miss. Some are really good. Some are just like, what is it necessary? But in terms of The Office, I think it's a good show. I'm not really into those types of sitcoms or things all the times. I think they could do something different with it, but I'm not sure because like you said, it's a reboot of a reboot.
Yeah,
rebooting something else. So what more can you do and continue on from the storyline? I mean, I think it ended on a good note from what the original show did. So
yeah,
more story they could tell, but
I'm a huge Office fan. I would say me and my fiance, that's how we sort of bonded, and so like I have a deep connection to it, and like I feel like if they were to just make it maybe a different office, but in that same sort of universe, but maybe it's in Australia, or maybe, it's in Detroit instead of Ohio or Pennsylvania. You know what I mean? Like maybe that there's something there, but it's kind of one of those things, like you said, John. It's like, well, people are still watching the old one, and it ended maybe less than 10 years ago, so it feels still fresh.
Yeah.
Right. Now, I can understand if they say, hey, look, we want to reboot The Sopranos and everything. I might say, hell no. But I'll be like, okay, so enough time has passed.
Right.
But this is not even enough time has passed to actually say that. And also, too, these people that you have working on The Office itself, it was a special moment for them. You actually had people that were not even spotlight names at that time.
Right.
And because of The Office and everything, it boosted their careers. And I'm not going to say that Australian actors can't do that. I'm just saying that you have people that
let's just be very, very, very clear on some big Hollywood.
I love The Walking Dead.
And not The Walking Dead. Do you know who my
Bobby?
Girl is? Do you know who my Barbie girl is? She's Australian, my friend. Do you know who Hugh Jackman is?
Yeah, we get it. Australia's awesome. We get it.
God of thunder.
We get it. Australia's rock. We get it.
We get it. We get it.
But the
Nicole Kidman started.
R.I.P. to him.
Yeah, before AMC starts, there's that Nicole Kidman ad in all of our theaters. So yeah.
Right.
Don't you be dissing those Aussies, my friend.
No, I love Australian people. They are fantastic. They're great and sweet, and has a lot of sass. So that's what I like. So let's jump on in back over to the WGA stuff, because there's some stuff that I want to talk about though too. So the WGA proposal features second step rewrites, guarantees additional pay for feature script writers, and revisions for writers making 250% or less of a WGA minimum pay guarantee. Then you also have the AMPTP August 22nd counter offer that guaranteed for writers making 200% or less WGA minimum, original writers given first option to rewrite their work. Now, most people are saying, well, that's how much a writer makes. And I'm going to counter that and say, no, that's how much a writer producer makes, is $11,371. Which they are called Article 14 writers and they also basic writers make less money for that. And also too, the $11K is only for a short-term writing gig. So it doesn't, that's all that is. It's just like a short-time gig. And then you also have a guarantee second step for writers. When a writer sells a screenplay, they are guaranteed a rewrite on that screenplay if it is decided that the screenplay needs a rewrite. But like Tyrone told me earlier, though, too, it depends on the budget of the film and what is taking place for that. But still, they are actually getting stuff that they want within this deal to where they can finally say, okay, we're going ahead and follow suit with it.
I think as far as what money goes with the writer's strike, corporate America, the big dog, is always going to win in some facet. They always find a way to kind of screw the little guy. But this definitely is an increase in pay for these folks. I think the huge win in this is the AI stuff, where they said AI cannot rewrite any literary material. AI generated material cannot be considered source material under this deal. Yeah. And that the WGA said that this will prevent material from undermining credits or other rights granted to writers. However, the rule does not bar writers from using AI to help with their work if the company allows it and follows the policy. So, but the studios just can't require them to use the AI software. And I think that's me personally. I'm someone who embraces change and the AI in the future. And I think, if the writers are able to use it, to kind of, think outside the box, or, hey, I need a creative, a sound or a creative name, stuff like that. I think that's totally fine. Where it gets, where they lose me is like, if you have AI writing the stories itself, that can't happen. And so that was a really big win, I think, here. And I think when studios do it, because they, that people always break rules, right? When they get caught, it's going to be a very massive deal. It's going to be a very massive deal.
I think it's
I want to wrap up.
Sorry, I think it's one of the websites, like, I don't know, I'm not going to name them, but like one of our browsers, and it now includes like a search that uses AI generated stuff. So you type something in and AI gives you the information out of it. And I've used it just for fun, just out of curiosity, like, I don't know, some silly search. And it's so generic and it's so robotic that it's annoying. So even going to AI for things like a sound or a name or something like that, I just think that people are so creative, and there's so many passionate people who are very creative that can do that stuff. Like, there's literally no need to use that. And I just think that with humans, when they write, it's because of our experiences. So it's because of, we've been heartbroken, so we know what that feels like to express that in writing. We have felt happiness or felt love, or all these things we've felt. So you can't replicate that unless you're human. And the day that technology can replicate that, I think we're in for a lot of trouble. So you embrace that change, but I'm terrified of it, to be honest.
Well, I mean, I think, for me, I think it's inevitable, right? I mean, technology is going to get to that point because the more information that it gets, I also use ChatGPT for things, and like, look around and
probably,
and like, it is a powerful tool, and it's only going to get better because this is just the beginning. This is the genesis. So I think this is great that they added this in here so that we can avoid what you just said, Jamie Lee. Where I guess what I was sort of alluding to is, when you're writing a story, TV show, there's a lot of research that has to be done. And so I think using research, like using it for that sort of component, using it for, hey, I have a name, Jamie Lee, and it's just not clicking with me. Like, is there some other options that I could come up with? Oh, I want something that is a name from Australia. What are some of the more popular names in Australia? Like, I think that you can use it in ways like that that can be creative, but it's just when you start to let it like drive the car. I 100% agree with you, Jamie Lee. I think it's never going to work. And sadly, it may get to the point where it does. We can't tell the difference. But I think this is great that like they're trying to stop it, at least for now.
Right. And I definitely agree with Jamie on that, though, too, is you can't feel the emotion. You can't feel the pain. You can't feel anything within an AI. And how do you expect the audience to feel something that something doesn't even feel anything either?
Yeah.
And we're having to build a relationship basically with an AI and trust him to be able, or trust it, rather.
I mean, just think about how the stories were written in the 2000s, right? Like, and there was like a lot of males, not really people of color and backgrounds and stuff. And now that's a really popular thing, right? So it doesn't have that like awareness of society, I think, to make those decisions either.
Right.
Yeah.
But what about for you, Western?
Yeah, man, I agree with you, man. This AI stuff is really tricky, and I hope they'll be able to resolve it. I know SAG has a whole other thing, which is why I know the meetings for those are probably going to take a little bit of a minute, because I know there was a whole about actors getting their faces scanned without permission.
Yes.
Happened to me. Yeah.
I don't know who raised them to do that, but it's not okay. So I really hope they can get that resolved, because AI can be good, for good some things, but only in moderation, and I feel like everything.
Right.
That's right.
I agree.
But yeah, the final deal also guarantees the second step for writers making 200% or less of WGA minimum pay guarantees. Studios may engage another writer if the original writer is unable to perform the rewrite. So now at least you have a little bit of a collab with a physical person,
right?
And you don't have to try and correct something that an AI does and everything. So if that person is not able to write anything, that person now goes back over to the person that wrote it. So I like that idea and concept of that,
Yeah. I think it's important that like the writer's room stays to humans. I saw something about how they would require like 3 writer producers for some of these shows and guaranteeing 10 consecutive weeks of work, because the big thing, I know we're about to talk about Netflix and Stranger Things, is Netflix, you get 2 seasons and then you're done, right? And so if you sort of invest, you move to North California, Southern California, whatever, and they tell you you're going to work on Stranger Things, and you start writing, and for 4 weeks and this gets canceled. Well, you took this job over another job, so now you lost that pay. So I think it's good that they give him that 10 weeks of consecutive sort of work regardless. So that way, in the meantime, there is some income coming in for him.
Exactly. And I think that's a great thing, because that was one of the main things I was worried about, because I actually have a friend of mine that is a writer, and he actually kind of opened up a GoFundMe page and everything. He was on the verge of losing his apartment.
Yeah.
And Dan has been such a great guy and a friend of mine, so I wound up helping him out with his GoFundMe and stuff like that. But it's just sad to see that the studios just didn't care. They just wanted them to bleed out until they folded. And I'm just glad that they still stuck to their guns and they were able to settle up on a deal. But I'm just glad that Dan gets to go back to doing what he loves doing. I'm glad that all the other writers are getting the chance to do what they love doing and have that authenticity within them, to have that range of motion, to be able to write. So that's something that I'm really happy about.
Yeah, likewise.
So let's go on ahead. You want to jump into Stranger Things, since we're already talking about the writing? So jump into that.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Do you all watch Stranger Things? Do all of you watch?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, a matter of fact, Western and I, did a review last year with Anthony, and then of course he was on. Western and I did one by ourselves, the two of us, with my Russian accent. But yeah.
Oh, boy.
But I love Stranger Things. I remember whenever I first got introduced to Stranger Things, one of my friends said, "Do you like Stephen King?" Yes, check. Do you like E.T.? Steven Spielberg? Check. I'm like, yes. I like all this stuff. It's all set in the 80s. It has a combination of a little bit of Stephen King, a little bit of Steven Spielberg. You actually have a little bit of E.T. going on in this. You have a small town just like in E.T. And I fell in love with the characters, the writing, and everything else. And then the cliffhanger that they gave us with Vecna winning at the end of season 4.
Yeah.
And then they're going to end it. I think 5 seasons is perfect. I think that if you go on ahead and try to extend it out, it's going to be repetitive and you're not going to know what to do. So I'm happy with that. And, this is what they also said too. Huh? I'm sorry, go on ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, 5 seasons seems great to me. I feel like those actors need the opportunity to, that I think the actors need an opportunity to actually like get out of these roles. Like Millie Bobby Brown, like at the time we were like, wow, she's gonna be an incredible actress moving forward. I think now she's probably like 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there. So like she's probably ready to take on like more womanly roles instead of playing this like 15-year-old or whatever it is. And
right.
So and so
you missed the opportunity to say 11. God dang it. Opportunity missed.
I'm glad we have you here.
Just throw them dry lines in.
Yeah. No. That's great. But no, seriously, I think like her, even Harper, it's like they've all been pigeonholed for such a while that I think it'd be good for them to step aside. And I know that was something that they mentioned that they were interested in doing as well.
Yeah, because another thing though too is like some people think, well, once they're filming, writing is done. And that's not the case. They have writers on the set still writing. So you definitely need them on the set of Stranger Things season 5 so that way they can still process and everything. Because even when, like, for instance, with a scene that's like, well, let me go on ahead. Maybe I can extend this scene out. Maybe we can actually make it a little bit shorter. Maybe I can readjust something to what one of the characters do. You need to have them on the set to make the adjustments that you need to have. Otherwise, it's going to be clunky. It's not going to work. And it's just going to be a misfire, in my opinion. And I'm glad that they're back on target and they're able to take their time with it. It makes me even more excited to see how this thing is going to wrap up. I'm still wondering if Will's going to have the same damn haircut that we had from last year.
Y'all let it go.
Another bold TKO. Just let it go.
That bowl cut. Terrible.
I mean, it gave us great memes, though.
It did.
Yes, him crying. This is hilarious, man.
Oh dear. A good example, John, of what you were just saying with the writers always being on set, or not always, but always having to be around to rearrange the script in order to suit whatever's happening is with Succession. So obviously they write the script out, and then Sarah Snook got pregnant. So they had to rewrite or, cut her out or something like that. And they actually wrote her pregnancy into the script.
Yeah.
So that's another example of when things don't go according to plan, like purely just because of life.
Sure.
I mean, that might have been her plan to have a baby. I'm not saying that wasn't, but when life changes, you have to adapt to those changes, is what I'm saying.
That was Jamie Lee's short plug to get another Australian actor into this stream.
I do love her, and I would love her on my channel. So there's that.
Pretty soon, Chris Hemsworth will be introduced.
I never said I didn't love Australians, Sarah. I love us.
So do I. But no, you're absolutely right that you need that. And also, again, going back to what I said about AI, the things going on in the world, like maybe there was a generation that didn't care, but if we have aliens come tomorrow onto the like our generation's like, put that into our media. Like, how do these characters respond? Like, this is a part of our world now, I mean, when you saw things going on with during the pandemic and like the protesting and all that's like, those are all heavily included in a lot of media. I mean, even Succession, they sort of did a little bit of protesting against like the wealthy, right? I mean, and that's really like the world we live in now. Like, that's kind of an expectation. And so, let's go back to what I said about how 2000s were written, right? Some of those jokes, they don't work nowadays. And so, if something big happens, like I'll give you an example. So in the movie Lilo and Stitch, there was a scene where they had the plane crashing into a building. And then after September 11 happened, they were like, whoa, we got it. Like, no, we can't do that, and like, so like these things do happen. And it's, yeah. So it is important to have those writers there.
Most definitely. I definitely do agree that you need to have your writers there to be able to make those adjustments and to be able to do that. Otherwise, they're going to run into a problem with the editing process too. I didn't think about that part either. I was just thinking the writing itself and the actors on how they were doing things and stuff. So that's actually a good point that you brought up. This is like, okay, well, this event happened, so now that we can't use that anymore. These jokes are not landing. This is not 2000 anymore.
Right.
So it's time to change it up. So yeah, I definitely agree with you on that as well. Western, what's your thoughts on Stranger Things?
Yeah, like you've been saying, man, I'm so glad that the writer's strike is over. I hope there is no sign of AI, especially within this show. I don't want to see AI trying to turn the remnants of Vecna into like Optimus Prime or something. I mean, it's the 80s. It would fit within that context, but it's just, it will be out of nowhere. It's just so random.
Yeah, so no AI.
We got to have writers. Because, things might look good on script. Like you said, it might be some things that got to get some changes while they're filming. So they've got to be on set. If there's no writers, it's just things will just go flat.
Right. Can I ask you guys a hot take here? So 11 and Will are together, right? Or Mike? No, Mike.
I think it's
Mike. Yeah. So Mike and 11 together. What are your thoughts on that? Like, is that something that they need to keep exploring, or do you think it's just let it go?
No, I like it. Oh, hey, Taco.
Hey, Taco.
Yeah, we've talked about this on my channel before. They're growing up, and I think they missed that opportunity to show them sort of connecting as like romantically.
Yeah.
Now it got to that point where, because they used that separation where, 11 went to high school somewhere else and Mike was somewhere else as well, it was really hard for people to connect that romance together because they physically weren't there. And I think that's where they went wrong with the script. I mean, I know that's obviously where they needed to go to separate the two different groups. I think we even had 3 different groups, didn't we? We had the ones that were in Germany and then Russia. And then so there was 3 different groups. But I like that they did that because it made the show more interesting, but also with the romance side of things, I think that was a real disconnect between audiences because it was hard for us to see 11 and Mike romantically together. Maybe we'll see it in this season, but the fact that he couldn't say I love you, and she was really begging for that, and I think he wrote it in a letter or something, didn't he, at the end? I can't remember. I'd have to go back and watch.
I felt
so
bad. I felt so bad for her. Like, I mean, and credit to Millie Bobby Brown. What, like, just phenomenal acting. Like, the entire city, like she was getting bullied. I just wanted to give her a hug. I was like, this is awful. It was so hard to watch. It was so hard to watch.
I was so happy when the skate gun got hit when she hit the girl with the skate. I was so happy.
Yeah, I know. Same.
Yeah.
And then that reunion with Harper and her, like,
beautiful. Yeah, and leaving the door
so
open just a little bit. I was like,
right. Just waterworks, you know?
Yeah, I love them.
And I agree with you guys. I think that, you know, we actually needed to have that separation from the group itself, see where everybody else is going.
Yeah.
You also needed to see where Harper was at, what's going on with him. And then you also have his adventure. This is actually an adventure type show that they did for last season. So that's something I really liked.
Yeah.
But, you know, another thing too is like I actually like the whole entire romance between Mike and 11. To the point where I'm like, I don't feel like it's forced. I feel like it's natural. I do think that he was acting like a ball bag in one of the seasons.
Yeah.
And everything too. Whenever they go to the mall and then she goes, "It's over," and then she winds up breaking up with him. And so I just thought that was, you know, a good. That was actually one of my favorite seasons besides season 4. I thought that was a really strong season. But yeah, I'm actually excited for this. I can't wait.
Yes.
So now we actually have Martin Scorsese and we also have James Gunn. Which one do you want to talk about?
Oh my gosh, Martin Scorsese.
Should we get to him?
Let's go on ahead. He woke up one morning and said, "Just screw everybody." So here's the thing: it's got to come from the filmmakers themselves, right? And you'll have, you know, the Sapphire brothers. And you'll have Chris Nolan, and you know what I mean? So Scorsese said, and hit him from all sides. Hit him from all sides and don't give up. Let's see what you got. Go out there and get it. And go Revenant. Don't complain about it, but it's true because we've got to save cinema. The 80-year-old filmmaker added, "I do think the manufacturer of content isn't really cinema." So Scorsese then clarified, "No, I don't want to say it, but what I mean is that it's manufactured content. It's almost like AI making film."
Oh my God.
Okay, first off, Martin, I love your films, and I understand that you're trying to savor everything that you had from when you were a little lad, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely, I think there's enough room to have both.
I agree.
And I understand that at one time that they were about $1 billion machine. Marvel right now and DC are in trouble. They don't know the directions they want to go in. And if you look at the land slope of everything, they're not making that much money like they were.
Right.
And now you have people that are more interested in the one-off movies and stuff like that of authenticity to the point where I think that Martin will actually make bank now.
Yeah.
With his movies, just like how they were before. It was just a different time and place. And that's what I feel like. I feel like it was just a different time and place. Everything because Martin just didn't fit in with all the other cool kids doing comic book movies.
You know, my thoughts are he's 80. He's an old man, and like he just is an old man who can't sort of accept that time has passed. You know, I tell him straight to his face. Seriously, I'd be like, "You're an old man. You know your stuff. You know you make great films, but you're an old man, and you know as an old man." You have to just let it go. I mean, seriously, let it go.
I'm making this a short.
Please do. Yeah.
Do you want to start singing it as well, Tyrone? Or how much more blunt?
I'm gonna call it Martin's "Let It Go."
Let it go, you old man.
Let it go. Oh my God! It's just like, dude. Superhero movies are here. They're a genre that is gonna stay. It's just like, imagine I was whining like, "Oh my God, you guys love the show Sex Education. Ugh, you guys like Euphoria. Ugh, wow." It's like what there was. You know what I mean? It's just like, who cares? Like, let people enjoy what they enjoy. That's the beauty, actually, of the streaming world that we're in now. Is that there's so much room for so many different stories to be told. I mean, like One Piece. Like the live action, like big, huge thing, right? But it was really popular only in Japan. If like, you know, we didn't have this sort of renaissance of wanting to like allow both to exist, then maybe we would never even see a show like that. Maybe someone like Margot Robbie doesn't even get discovered, right? Like her Australian work is what allows her to get discovered, right? And so I feel like he's just being a real sourpuss old man about this, and like superhero movies aren't killing the industry. It made it fun. It made it fun to go back to the movie theaters. It made it fun for people to talk about every week with their friends. What's your theory?
Yeah.
What's your idea? And it's the same, honest to God, as a Western guy, I'm sure it's like Western movies. It's the same thing.
You know what they say about them. You know what they say about them.
But Jamie, what's your thought?
That's my old man Martin Scorsese rant.
I'm normally on the rant against Marvel and DC, but I don't think that it's the superhero genre that's killing film and TV. I think it was the inclusion of TV series adapting the comics that really made the impact, because it's oversaturated. It's just too much shoved in your face that people are like, oh my God, I'm over it. Just stop. Or we've seen that last month, or, it's just too much.
Well,
it's not the genre and it's not the comic book adaptations. It's just too much of it in such a short amount of time. And it's a tricky one, because like we love TV because, well, me specifically, I love that we get, well, I would love 9, but usually it's 6, and that's my complaint. But I love like 9 episodes where we get to know these characters and really learn about superheroes that half the time I haven't even heard of. Like I'd never heard of Moon Knight in my life.
Right.
So
which is really cool.
And it was cool to learn about that. But I think they just need to cut back. So like maybe 1 series a year or 2, not try and push like 4 and then 3 movies. It's just a lot. It's too much.
Yeah. Well, my brother-in-law and I, we were having this discussion several months back when Doctor Strange was out. It's like, so do you want to see Doctor Strange? He goes, to be honest with you, I'm getting a little bit of that comic book fatigue to the point where I have to see this in order to see something else. It's getting too convoluted for me to be able to keep up with anything unless you have someone like me sitting next to you.
But everyone says that it's not true. It's not true. Like you can watch, like, sure, are you going to enjoy it more if you watch all of them? Of course. But in Infinity War and Endgame, there's always some monologue where they explain everything that happened before. And this
I was
and
just
the other
about
thing.
to say that. They always try to make the shows and the movies to have that explanation of who these people are, or
right,
like to include them, so you're not like blindsided,
right? Exactly.
So I think they do a good job of that, and that's probably half of the complaints, because the comic book people are probably like, well, we already know that.
Exactly.
What's
Spider-Man and Peter Parker.
We already know Ben Uncle Ben dies. We've seen it 17
times.
Damn.
Uncle Ben.
Spoiler. Spoiler. Yeah.
Oh gosh. So yeah, the
but no.
Sorry, Weston. Oh dear.
Go ahead.
But I want to piggyback off of you though too, Tyrone, because with the whole sex education thing that you were still talking about in the other TV shows, and I love One Piece as a live action adaptation, which I'm going to do my review on Monday. But but I'm not trying to plug anything, I promise.
I was
but
about to say
anyways,
cheeky little plug there, but that's fine. We'll let you use your channel.
Right.
Hey, whatever helps, right? But like you said though, there's enough room for fandom to celebrate. Because I'm not a fan of sex education. I don't watch sex education. I don't watch certain shows. But I'm not going to tell somebody, hey, look, you're not supposed to like it because I don't like it. I'm happy that you want to celebrate it.
Right.
Celebrate sex education. Bring some education into sex for your life. That's what I say.
Oh, we will.
So,
oh, we will.
But I think that just like how people love the Twilight movies. I'm like, I don't like them. Yeah. But I'm happy you do. I'm happy you celebrate them.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that you have a way to actually go and see them. But I'm not going to sit there and watch them. Even though
I think honestly, my last take on this is that what is killing the movie theaters, or it's not superheroes, it's the fact Jamie Lee kind of pinpointed it a little, is like we had this renaissance of television where you were able to really fall in love with characters over a long period of time and really get to know them with pacing. And the evidence of Martin Scorsese's jealousy, he's always had films that are like, kind of long, right? But Killers of the Flower Moon is 3.5 hours. You don't make that. Exactly. I have no interest in sitting in that theater for 3.5 hours to watch Killers of the Flower Moon. Sorry, I don't.
In one
But
go.
it looks more interesting,
Whereas,
though, to me.
What's
I like
that?
it.
You dropped out there.
What did you say, Western?
I said it looks more interesting than The Irishman to me, though. So that might be.
I agree.
Might help with,
Yeah,
I agree. But the thing, right, is that clearly shows that Martin Scorsese is almost a little jealous that TV gets to like have their patience and time, where movies people are kind of like, eh. And what's funny about like him even like just being, they're so impatient, or it's like, have you seen some of these Marvel movies? They're like 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45 minutes. Like these movies are long, and clearly what television did to really develop the characters and make you want to be on that journey, it doesn't translate the same quite yet in movies. Because when I read that it's 3.5 hours for a movie, I'm like, do I want to see this? But then they'll argue, oh, well, you guys like the binge. It's not the same because the storytelling method is different. You know what I mean? I don't know. How do you all feel about that?
As long as the story is enticing and entertaining enough for me to. But for me, as someone that sits there and reviews movies and stuff like that, though, I like stuff like that because I can get a lot out, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But it has to be entertaining. It has to be engaging. It has to be making me care about what I'm watching.
Yeah.
If I'm over there wondering, okay, did I leave my stove on? When's this movie over?
Right.
And that pulls me out. But I'm okay with the 2-hour runtime as long as I'm engaged with it. I don't ever say, oh.
What about 3?
I was like, okay, or 3 hours.
Yeah.
Depending, if it's Goodfellas, yeah. If it's Casino, yeah. But go ahead.
What about you, Western and Jamie?
Irishman?
No.
Snore.
You can only CGI and deepfake stuff for so long. You can't deepfake movement. It took him 15 minutes to get off his recliner.
Yeah, that was. Oh my god!
But even look at that. That again, Martin Scorsese is just jealous, honestly, because him trying to use CGI the same way that superheroes. It's like, what is the difference? What is the difference? These are visual effects that you're using. You're using the same exact thing. It's just you want to tell your story. And your story doesn't make as much money because we just don't find it as interesting, which goes back to what I was saying about the writers and the importance of writing things that are timely and topical, and not, there's a difference between trending and topical, right? Like there are cultural moments that happen that are huge moments that we all are interested and fascinated. And that's why I mentioned the aliens thing. If aliens come tomorrow, that is a cultural moment. And over the next decade, I expect to see aliens included in those storytelling as normal people or whatever the case may be. You know what I mean?
Right.
But he's trying to write stories where aliens don't exist yet. And I'm just like, that's why they're not connecting. Not because of superhero movies. It's just you're an old man. You're an old man writing old stories.
We've moved on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything else for you though,
We've
Western?
let it go.
Wanted to do outdo you, John, and do 2 shameless plugs, because I was going to think, one, should we do a petition to have Martin Scorsese replace Nicolas Cage in the retirement plan? The trailer reaction. Or should we call him as old and bitter as a shark, which I'm reviewing Shark Tale, which he provides a voice for my own podcast. But I'm not going to do that. I'm
not gonna do that.
But if you did want to find them, you could find them over at that podcast there.
Right, yeah.
You could accidentally stumble on.
What an accident.
So now we're moving into some DC stuff with James Gunn. And here's the thing. I love James Gunn. I like what he's done with the Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Sliver. I like his original stuff before he got into Marvel and stuff like that. And then he sometimes I feel like he just doesn't need to get on Twitter and tell everybody what he's thinking. I understand that I know that he has a job to do. I get it. But here's the thing. If you're still developing stories, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Let us experience the excitement that you have over the creativeness within the stuff that you're doing.
I think to producers, James Gunn is supposed to be like the cool kid. So he's like, I'm on Twitter with the kids. I'm cool.
Yeah, the popular one.
I'm the popular one. He's
not a regular dad. He's a cool dad.
Exactly. Yeah, the kids like James Gunn in that Guardians movie. Yeah, I will put his personality out there.
James Gunn.
James Gunn. But yeah, I agree. I think that some things is just better. Like, and this is one of my critiques of the superhero world is that the trailer tells us too much, and like kind of that's his personality is he does like to leak and kind of tease a little bit. But I like this announcement that he folks that he mentioned. So he mentioned I think it was Viola Davis, Xolo from Blue Beetle, and who was the last one?
Okay, so this is the cast that Xolo, Martina. Then you also have Cena, like you said, and then you also have Viola Davis. Yeah,
I think all of those names work for. Yeah, The Woman King. Oh, beautiful plug. That is a great movie. That is a phenomenal movie. But yeah, but I think those are all great people to bring over to this new generation of the DCU. I feel like if you bring Aquaman, it's just a little too showy. I mean, he may bring him, but who knows? But I don't know. I thought the folks that he brought over, that works for me. What about you all?
I'm fine with Viola Davis being Amanda Waller because I feel like you need to have her in there. And then, of course, you're going off the success of Peacemaker. So you need to have Peacemaker in there.
Yes.
And you need to have Viola Davis to do this tango that they do. Yes. So I feel like that works. Blue Beetle is an introduction to the Latino community to have someone that they can relate to just as Black Panther did.
Right.
So you need to have him as a staple in there. Yes, it didn't make that much money, but there's always
it was a good story though. I loved it.
I need to see that movie though. But under the context of it all, I'm all for Latino representation. I'm all for those stories being told because they need to be told. You need to have representation. I also think that despite the fact that the movie didn't do that well, but it was very well talked about, I think that they can go on and resurface stuff and figure out the ways to go about it. And then you can also have the people who love Cobra Kai like us and, to be able to support this movie and also other people that love superhero movies. So I think it's a win-win on that part. And I definitely do agree. I don't want Jason Momoa wouldn't have mixed in with this kind of vibe either.
I thought that Jason Momoa was continuing on, especially
not as Aquaman though.
As a different character. So I'm hoping Lobo.
Yeah, Lobo was kind of what they were talking about.
So what was the cutscene in Flash when he was like, "Oh, I've been to every different universe, and you're the only Aquaman that."
Yeah, Flash is not going to be canon in this universe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why did they keep that in there and be like, "Oh yeah, Aquaman"?
Flash.
They got to get a new Flash. I mean, he says he likes Ezra, and they may keep them, but it seems like no, it's just. Honestly, Jamie, I think they just want to get rid of anything associated with that sort of last. And
I heard that a year ago, and then suddenly we're picking up actors that we're not getting.
Time out. Viola Davis is one of maybe 15 people ever to get an EGOT.
To be fair, no. I do agree with keeping her on.
You have to.
And I do think that she hasn't had as much airtime for it to be impactful. Like she hasn't necessarily been. She hasn't had her own series movie, anything. Like she's in them, but she doesn't take the primary focus. So I really do think that one's fine. But you can't just sit there and say, "Oh, I'm going to do a reboot," and then keep John Cena and keep Margot Robbie and keep your friends around. It's a little bit.
It's favoritism, but I think. That's Hollywood, baby. That's Hollywood, baby. That's how they do it. It's groovy out there. But listen, number 2, this Blue Beetle kid. I got some insight from my community, my One Piece community. He is potentially going to play one of the major main characters in that series. And so again, I think James Gunn is thinking. James Gunn is he is the cool dad. He knows what people like. He knows, like, I think that's why Jason Momoa is potentially supposed to stay, is because we all like Jason Momoa. And so I think he knows that kid's also going to be a big name going forward. So it's going to help bring in more eyes. And I think that's kind of how they're approaching this a little bit. But that's speculation, of course. But I do get. I was going to say, I do agree with you, though. Sorry.
No, you're fine, babe. My man's never watched Cobra Kai before. He didn't know much about Blue Beetle. And we went and watched Blue Beetle, and he fell in love with Xolo. Like, he's just this kid who is so likable.
Totally.
He's fantastic in his acting. Like, if you watch season 1 Cobra Kai compared to what he was just like in Blue Beetle, like, his acting has just... Oh, he's incredible.
He's awesome. Yeah, he really is.
He's, as you said, he's someone like Jason Momoa who it's really hard to dislike them. Like, they're just likable by everybody, Sure. So I agree. He's definitely one to take over in the new universe for sure.
But it is unfair, and it does stink probably for some folks who are like big Henry Cavill fans, unlike myself. But yeah.
Yeah, man. James Gunn is, the cool Twitter, like you were saying. So, we have to have a lot of faith in him. Hopefully he's making the right decisions with this casting here. I mean, there are good actors, they're playing good characters, but what does he plan to do? What is he cooking? I'm very fascinated to see what he has in store as a historian myself. I'm very, very curious.
Yeah, I saw that like months and months ago, he had released a couple different books and comics that he said was basing on his universe. And I read the Batman one. I'm not finished with it. And my Lord, if they make it even 25% of that story, I'm gonna be like, whoa, because they're like, we may be seeing some things that for the first time we've ever seen with Batman in like live action. So I think that's kind of his mindset going forward, is like, okay, we've all seen Superman. What are some of the Superman stories we've never seen before? I think that's going to be his. And I don't know. I didn't read Brave and Beyond. I think it's a Superman one, so I'm not sure if it's much different. But the Batman, I was like, whoa, this is going to change everything. So, and no spoilers, but if you are interested in spoiling, there are some high profile named people potentially who are going to be in that movie.
Do me a favor, Tyrone, too. Send me the name of that comic, too, because I'd like to actually read that.
I'll pull it up at the end of the stream. Got it right there.
Sounds good, because I'm definitely interested in reading that. Batman is hands down one of my favorite characters. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Now we have Mike Flanagan's Dark Tower, and then we also have Halloween. So here's the thing. I'm a massive Stephen King fan.
Mm-hmm.
I did not like the Dark Tower series. And if anybody doesn't know what the Dark Tower is, I'm just going to say this. Think of a Western movie in a sci-fi element mixed in with fantasy that leads into different doorways within this universe. So in other words, is you actually have this character named Roland. He's a gunslinger. In the second book and everything, he goes into a doorway and he winds up coming into New York City. And he winds up being in this one person's body and everything too. And let's see here. I'm going to tap out. Okay. Yeah, that's fine, Jamie. I understand. Yeah, that's fine. So anyway, so basically what he winds up doing is he winds up going into a different doorway and things like that in New York City. And he can basically be in somebody else's body and stuff like that too. But also too, he can also pull them into his world as well. So that's something that they did in the second book. In the first book, you're dealing with the whole entire lore of the gunslinger, the Ka, and things like that, on how he shoots and things like that. And he's also looking for the Man in Black, which happens to be the devil, or you can also represent him as Death as well, because of the fact that they actually he goes by different names. I also read the comic books that was done by Marvel as well, and I also read the 2 out of the 12 books I think that they have out. But I definitely am excited. Huh?
I was going to say that. Wasn't there like 8 books or something relating to that? Like, there was a lot.
Yeah, there's about eight books, I believe. But I love Idris Elba as an actor. I thought he did a good job playing Roland. And I like the fact that they've casted Matthew McConaughey as the Man in Black. But the thing is, you're doing this within an hour and 45-minute movie. And there's so much depth, so much context within the Dark Tower itself to the point you can't clock that in at an hour and 40 something minutes or anything. And even in a 2-hour movie, you need to have it where it's episodic, because this show needs to be episodic. And I'm happy that Stephen King went on ahead and gave the approval of Mike Flanagan to go ahead and do this, because I like fantasy, I like sci-fi, I like Western movies. To combine all that into one thing, and you actually have to have a massive budget to do this with, makes me all that much excited too.
Who are they doing it with? Like, do you know the studio?
As of right now, there's not really any anyone as of right now that I know of.
Because I was thinking,
I wouldn't be surprised if one of them picks it up.
Well, because I was thinking, like, Apple does a lot of sci-fi. I'm not sure if any of you seen. They do a lot of sci-fi stuff with their Foundation. Is big, Silo. So it kind of sounds like something sort of in that realm. So and Silo's a really good story. You should check that out. But it sounds like it's kind of maybe in that realm. So it could work out. Like you said, the problem I think with sometimes with the adaptions is that with adaptions, you're, as a fan, you're always going to have your own picture in your head. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly. And also, too, in 2000, I want to say, let me go back too, because I'm also looking at it as well. But from what I remember, in 2022, he actually cut ties with Netflix. So he's no longer tied with Netflix or anything like that either. So now he's able to shop around and see where he wants this thing to land at. So I think Apple would be good because of the budgeting. And then also, too, I think even if you can, you might be able to go with Prime. But the biggest thing is they already have $1 billion thing that they're trying to do with Lord of the Rings. So I don't think they want to invest in something that big and massive.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, and it seems like Hulu wouldn't really wouldn't make sense, but like they're also supposed to be merging with Disney, so yeah, I'm not sure where they could do it, where it could be successful with the right budget. But that's sort of the downfall. Like, I don't know if you all have heard of Lessons in Chemistry. That's a pretty popular book right now, and Apple got the rights to it, and they got Brie Larson there, and it just doesn't. It, like, the way I imagine in my head, it just doesn't feel Brie Larson. So like that's always just a struggle, I think, when you're a fan watching something that's being adapted.
So I know that you guys have to bounce and everything, but I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for coming on the show and everything. I've been wanting to work with you, Tyrone. I'm glad that you came on. Jamie, thank you. You're always great at coming on and everything too. I'm glad that you've popped on and be able to talk a little bit with us as well.
I appreciate you having me on, John. I want to have you on my channel as well. This is a blast. It's a great time. Let's do this again. I would hope so, that if we get the invite back, because it was a lot of fun.
Definitely. Yeah, man. Most definitely.
You're not gonna let us go?
No, I'm not gonna let you go.
I'm out.
I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow morning like Marcus Scorsese and be like, you know what? But yeah.
Oh God.
But no, seriously, thank you for having me on.
Welcome.
Make sure you subscribe to the Movie Lovers Unite, and maybe you'll check out my terrible page. And you'll see
terrible.
And you'll see John over there. And so nice to meet you too, Westy.
Nice to meet you too, Tyrone.
Bye now.
Thank you, Jamie. I do appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Right. It's nice to see you again, Justin. All right, take care, hon. Bye.
Yeah. Okay, so now, yep, and there were two, and we're just going to talk about this one last thing, and that's going to be Halloween. A24 is leading bidding war for the rights to develop a TV series. And my thing is this, okay? I did not like anything out of the Halloween franchise other than the first one that they did in 2017. That's like the only one. I was hoping that the second one after that one would actually do good. No, it just fell apart. And then the third one, it basically was another person just whooping a senior citizen's ass with a mask on. So yeah, which is Michael Myers,
literally.
But I just didn't care for it. And then now that director is now doing The Exorcist, doing that one now. So that's who's
the one that's
remaking
coming out in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
Wow.
And it looks good.
Cool.
The new Exorcist trailer looks fantastic. I did a trailer reaction a while back, and I really liked it. I thought it pulls on your nostalgia. It did everything like the first Halloween movie did with the 2017 version. But with that one, with this, I think that it's time just to let the Halloween franchise die off a little bit because of the fact that I was so let down with the other two films to the point was like, I don't care. I just don't care about Michael Myers anymore. And then even with a TV series, I'm like, why? Why would you make a TV series off of a thing that happened on one night? And it just doesn't feel like something that is original, something authentic. I don't see anything different with this at all. I just don't care about another Halloween movie or TV series right now. Now, maybe a couple of years or whatever, someone might pitch the studio, hey, look, I have an idea for a Halloween movie. Let's go ahead and do that. But for a TV series with A24, and then of course Blumhouse and them broke up. That's why they're having to go over to probably to another company. But yeah, I just don't feel like that's actually something interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I know A24 is known for experimental things, and I'm sure they'll probably give Michael Myers his emo story, have a younger actor play him, have him go through his stages and how he became a serial killer and had to put the mask on and all this stuff. But like you said, I think it's about time to let it go. It's been through a lot of wear and tear. Some movies were hits, some movies not so much. The last one definitely we were struggling with that one for sure.
Yeah, that last one was rough. I got to the point where I was like, okay, is Corey going to be like the son of Michael Myers, where he's going to be taking over this franchise? And it's no longer Michael Myers, and then we just have a basic person named Corey running around stabbing people? Sorry.
And alas, it was not that.
Right. But you know what I'm saying, though? I mean, it just doesn't feel I'm not that enthusiastic with it and everything with that last one. It left a bad taste in my mouth. I even laughed at the part where Corey winds up accidentally killing one of the kids with the when he winds up. Remember that one scene where Corey was in the closet or whatever, and the kid was holding the lock, and then the kid winds up falling over the banister.
Oh, the opening. Oh,
yeah, the opening scene. I literally laughed my ass off
I
on
didn't know
that.
what to expect from the movie after that. I was like, okay, so just right off the bat, we're just killing children. Okay.
But yeah, I just don't care about another Michael Myers movie. I'm not excited for it. But yeah, that's all I have to say with the A21 stuff. And yeah, so that's going to be it as far as the show goes. But Western, I know that you have some stuff that you're working on for your channel.
That's absolutely right. Recently, I got the review for Cocaine Bear. Somebody that Martin Scorsese could have faced off. I feel like he wouldn't have said anything about Cocaine Bear. I feel like he wouldn't have. But some other upcoming reviews include one I just mentioned earlier that he has a voice role in Shark Tale, as well as the Super Mario Brothers movie. Will that hold up for me or not? Do stay tuned. Be sure to subscribe to the Western Reviews podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to John's show. He's cool too.
Thank you, Black Vega. Thank you. But yeah, I am going to be back over here on Monday night, and we're going to be doing our review of One Piece. That's going to be 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. But tomorrow night, I'm going to be reviewing the Kane Harder bio with someone. Anyways, but yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing tomorrow night. I'm going to be reviewing the Kane Harder story with Friday the 13th. Was.
Oh yeah.
Huh?
Okay, man, Friday the 13th. Oh, that should be interesting.
Yeah, that's going to be a bio.
But
yeah.
Like a biopic? Or...
Yeah, well, not a biopic, but okay, so it's called To Hell and Back, the Kane Harder story. So this is a documentary revolving around everything that Kane Harder has done. He was actually a stuntman, and then he winds up working with being like a horror icon, doing Friday the 13th. Then from Friday the 13th, he played in the movie Monster with Christina Ricci. And I forgot the other actress's name, but yeah. So that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow night.
Theron?
Yeah, Charlize Theron. Thanks. But yep, that's what I'm going to be reviewing for tomorrow night. Is The Hell and Back, the Kane Hoarder story. So that's going to be it. I hope everyone has a great and safe night. And always until next time, guys. Bye-bye.